Welcome, dear viewers, to this most magnificent of Mondays, where this mission is it's a bit interesting. Not really though. Kerbal Space Program, finally. I mean, like, how long has it been since I posted an actual proper Kerbal Space Program video? And yeah, but this is a Apollo-style Saturn V Mun mission. Because I wanted an excuse to do one. Actually, there is no excuse to do this one. I just really felt like doing it. So I decided to, do it and make it into a video. Because I haven't made one in a while. So, about this rocket, it is a pretty much straight up Saturn V. It uses the Saturn V parts from Making History, and it's 3 stages, just like the real Saturn V. The first stage has 5 Mastodon F1 replica engines, and those are burning nicely, as you can see. And they are fueled by the biggest fuel tank in the game. The second stage, the first stage is called the S1C. I don't know what that stands for, but I know it's called the S1C. The second stage has 5 J2s, which that stage is yet to come, and it's fueled by a significantly smaller fuel tank, and an adapter piece, and that is the S3B, and it uses 3 of the more efficient but less powerful skiff engines, which are the J2 replicas for Kerbal Space Program. The third stage is the S4B, and the S4B has a single J2 engine, which in this one I substituted for a Rhino engine because the one skiff is way underpowered for the stage that I intend to do or the payload that I intend to bring with the S4B. But that is fueled by a single 3.75 meter diameter tank. Doesn't need much fuel because it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. Yeah. And that is going to get us to the moon. And we're also going to crash it into the moon. But as you can see, we're going to the upper atmosphere, and the first stage just burnt out. So we can decouple that and let go of the launch escape system to make this more faithful to the real Saturn V, which after ditching the S1C would also ditch the launch escape system. Now we're on the S3B, which I said before has 5 J2 engines, which are more efficient but less powerful. Far less powerful. Actually, I had to take a much steeper ascent path with while the S1C was still attached, because the skiff engine is very underpowered for what it is, and I needed to get as much altitude as I can with the Mastodon engines, because if I didn't, then I would simply just end up crashing back down to Kerbin, and, the mission would fail. I would still be able to successfully abort to detach the capsule and stuff, but, the mission would be failed, and I would waste a ton of rocket. But we are burning our way very nicely up into space. It's a very tranquil starscape. You can see the planet's horizon from at 50,000 meters. It's a very nice place. It's very quiet. No other noises other than the soft burn of the engines, which, if you noticed, have still quite a lot of fuel. If these were Mastodon engines, they would have burnt out quite a while ago. That's because, as I said, the J2s are a lot more efficient, but a lot less powerful. They're pretty underpowered for what they are, and quite weedy, if I would, had to say for myself. Yeah, we're just cruising on up into orbit, watching that periapsis gradually raise above 70 kilometers, up to 80, 90, and 100. We just about hit it. 82 kilometers. Well, 53, I'm sorry. My screen it's very small. I can't really see it that well. But, yeah. Just cruise on up. We are taking a steeper ascent path because steeper ascent path now because, one, we have way too much fuel. This thing is way overpowered. The engines are underpowered, but the rocket itself has way too much fuel for a standard mud mission. I'm sure if I really wanted to, I might be able to push this to maybe even Ike, I suppose. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I will, do something on this mission at another point in the future. Those J2s are still going. We we got quite a bit of burning to do before those are done. I might as well talk about the payload. The payload is our command and service module, which is, has parachutes. The command module has parachutes and a docking port, and that's where all of our turbonauts are currently. Service module provides the thrusters and the fuel cells and radio dishes for the command module. And then in that little fairing we have a lunar lander, which uses the Making History lunar excursion module, and a couple of the Making History structural panels, a whole bunch of fuel tanks. I gave it way too much fuel in the landing stage, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to have that much extra in case I need to make corrections. But I just had a monstrous amount of fuel. This lander might have been better suited for the space shuttle to the Moon video because of the colossal amount of extra fuel the thing carries. Yeah, that's pretty much the lander. And we have, a docking port. Dock, astronauts can get in. It lands, just like the real one. It lands, they get out, plant their flags, get some moon rocks, and then they hop back in, and then the top separates off and flies back up into orbit and docks with the command module. So, we can cut those J2 engines because we have gotten our apoapsis to 100 kilometers. This is good because this gives us a bit of breathing room between us and the atmosphere. Kerbin's atmosphere ends at 70 kilometers, but 100 kilometers is generally a good height to aim for. Now, I'm not actually on my original save file I made videos on. I am on a second save file because, things happened. But I don't have any satellites, so I might be able to establish my space program on a video or in videos on this as a series or something. Maybe I can grow a space program for videos, and have excuses to make videos and growing a space program. We only have one thing in orbit at the moment, and that would be the space station, the KSS. It's kind of like the ISS. We've got big solar panels and stuff like that. Completely unnecessary. This is a sandbox save. I'm working on my science save. Still haven't beaten it, but I'm very, very close. I'm so close you don't even know. But, we can just cruise up on to orbit. And, yeah. It's very nice, very tranquil. It's a very nice place to be. We can, extend our maneuver node out to the Mun. And, once I get the encounter, I'm actually going to take a quick break from recording, and then I will be right back. Nothing will change, pretty much, except for... yeah, nothing. I'm just going to make a cut in recording, and then I'll be back. But we got our encounter, and we can time warp over to that node, and I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, I have returned. Yeah, I've returned. But, yeah, we are at the third stage, the S4B, with our single J2 representative engine. It represents a J2, however, it's far more powerful than the in-game J2. Probably overkill, because I didn't actually need it that much, but, I mean, I'm impatient, and that first J2 burn kinda hurt, to be honest. It was very long, it was very boring, and it was very risky, because if I had flattened out too much during that path, then I would, begin falling back down into the atmosphere, and we don't want that to happen because then the mission would pretty much just not go. the mission, which is stop, pretty much, and I don't want that to happen. So we have our maneuver plotted, and we're actually going to maneuver ourselves onto a lunar collision so that we can crash the S4B. We're going to use the service module's main engine. We're going to use that to boost ourselves onto a lunar flyby so that the Kerbonauts on the ship do not meet a similar fate. That would suck. That would suck if the Kerbonauts made a similar fate. But we can deploy the fairing, and we can jet away, and then we can turn ourselves around and automatically align to the docking port, and we can just use RCS and coast to a nice stop at the coast to a nice stop docked with the lander. We can now detach from the S4B and rearrange the staging, because I really cannot, for the life of me, get staging to work the first time for Apollo-style setups. I can't get it to work in the VAB for the first time. When I try, I always have to reconfigure my staging when I reconfigure my vessels. But we can now deploy Action Group 1 and the cargo bay doors to reveal the fuel cells and the radio dishes and stuff like that. And then we can adjust our course so that we do not meet a similar fate to the S4B. And then we can pretty much plot a maneuver node to capture around the Mun, and then we can time warp over to that burn and capture around the Mun. So we're just time warping over now, and I don't want to overshoot this because it would be annoying, and I didn't make too many quick saves in this mission. I made 2 quick saves, 3 quick saves, and that was it. So we can time warp over to the maneuver node with the built-in warp to next maneuver feature, and begin our burn to capture around the gray ball of dust. And you can see the elliptical. You can see the elliptical shrinking. And that's our orbit. It's not the cleanest orbit, I know, but it'll work. It'll work for our desired intentions with this orbit. So without further ado, we can quick save and then detach from the mothership. So we're just scouting out a nice little place to land, and then we can transfer our crew into the lander. There's very little lag because there are very little parts on this in this vessel at the moment. So now we can decouple, or actually undock, the docking ports, and we can release the lunar lander. Now we can deploy the legs and activate the engine so we can engage our deorbit burn and begin landing on the surface. So you can RCS ourselves out of the path of the command module, and we can now put ourselves on a lunar landing trajectory. Yep, bye command module. And yeah, I did do a little bit of a boo-boo here. If I really wanted this to go as best as I could get it to go, I would time warp around to the light side of the celestial body. I would time warp around to the light side, and then I would deorbit very steeply from the light side of the Mun. But I deorbited very shallowly from the dark side of the Mun. So while we will end up landing actually at the divide between the dark and light side of the Mun, the landing phase will be very dark, or the slowdown phase, because we're moving pretty fast actually, And while we do have a fairly lightweight craft that can provide a decent amount of thrust for what it is, we still need to do a lot of slowing down, and we have to do that slowing down quite quickly as to not crash into the surface of the mun at very fast speeds. But as you can see, now that the module is flipping over vertically, that means it is good for landing. Or that means it is set up properly to perform the landing. So we can do some soft burning to get ourselves going at a nice slow pace before we gently hit the ground, and then we can hop out of the module and go for a nice little spaced walk, plant a flag, do stuff, and yeah. So we can I did a little bit of a jump cut there, but we're here on the left side of the mun. Oh, I know where that jump cut was from. That jump cut was me loading a quick save because I crashed the first time. But we are we're ascending toward the surface of the mun at a nice pace, very slowly, with the engine slightly burning so that we can gradually come to a stop when we hit the surface. I must say I like the way this lander looks. But we're about to touch down. Slow it back down to real-time speed, and we landed. I think the touchdown speed was around 3 meters per second, maybe even 4. Not that graceful of a touchdown. As you can see, there was a significant amount of bounce in the landing gear, but we made it nonetheless. And we can put on our spacesuits and hop out and say some historic words. Alright, climb down this ladder. Let's let go of it. That is one small step for a Kerbal, and one clumsy leap. One clumsy leap for Kerbal kind. We can get Bob out too for a nice picture with Jeb at the flag. And that's the lander. So I think this site is very nice looking, to say the least. We have a historic looking lander, very nice Kerbals with very nice spacesuits, and it's a very, very nice place to be. Now, as I'm recording this, it's getting quite late and I'm getting quite tired, as you can hear by my tone of voice. Normally I'd be more energetic, and when I did first record this, I was very energetic in the recording. However, that one got deleted, and I'm very angry about it. Although, not that angry. But, I'm a little tired, more tired. I feel less compelled to be as energetic as I was when I did the initial recording. But, that's all in the past. We can, jetpack around on the surface of the mun, because that's fun. And, I didn't come here for it to be boring. I came here for it to be fun. Although I suppose, smashing your head on the moon is not very fun. You might crack your spacesuit and you might die. But, Jeb's too cool for that. And Jeb also decided he is too cool for ladders, and he's going to jetpack to the hatch of the ship and also stumble off and maybe damage some valuable equipment. Will they be stranded on the moon? No. You can't really damage things with Kerbals unless they're colliding very fast. You can't really damage systems with Kerbals. And Bob, since he's a good little Kerbal, he used a ladder and climbed up. Far less fun than Jebediah's solution, but he's a responsible and sensible Kerbal. So, yeah. So we can shut down that engine and prepare for our liftoff. And also completely miss the launch window and have to warp around a couple days for a new launch window to the command ship. So we have it in an optimal position. We can now launch. This particular This particular command pod has some fuel integrated into it, and with the spark engine, which is a very small, very low power, and a relatively efficient 6.25 meter engine. It's less thrust than a nuclear engine, but I mean, for the crafts you typically use them on, they provide an adequate amount of thrust. So we can get our maneuver set up in such a way that on our first orbit, after getting into our initial orbit, we're going to get a nice and close encounter with the mothership, so we can dock nice and quickly, and we can shave off a whole bunch of time for me and for you, time warping around the mun, because that process is annoying. I really don't like doing it. So we can time warp up to our node, at which point we can engage the burn. Yep, there we go. You can see that gauge dropping dramatically as our orbit forms. And there we have it, a beautiful orbit around the mun. You can sit back, relax, and enjoy a nice cup of space tea as we drift along the cosmos toward the mothership for a nice docking. Just going to adjust our the vectors very minorly here, and align them nice and good. We can look at that intersect meter, or that intersect number drop, and we can make a quick save. Now we're pretty much good, and I'm also going to take another recording break. I shall return in a moment. Alright, with another issue fixed, we can time warp over to our intersection nodes, and we can begin to slow ourselves down for the rendezvous, so that we can dock, because that's what we need to do, so we can get our Kerbals reunited, and we can go home, because we can't leave them stuck in space. It's late. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I got school tomorrow. It's Monday. But, yeah. There is the mothership. We can slow ourselves down. And we can, actually switch to it. The close hot swap feature. And we can easily select the docking port on it. And we can set that as a target. And now we can have them automatically align each other. Now, I really did not need monopropellant for this mission. To be completely fair, the reaction wheel and engine were more than enough to keep this thing aligned for a docking. But if you have seen my other videos with docking like this, you should know that, I'm kind of a noob. Although, granted, that was quite a while ago that incident happened around Minmus. But, yeah, that's about it. So we can shut down that ascent engine, and all our Kerbals are now transferred into the command module. We can deorbit ourselves around the mun, and we can decouple or undock the lander can and say goodbye to it for forever, because it's going to be smashed into the mun. Turn around, fling it away with engine wash, and we can be on our merry way back to Kerbin. It's been a while. It's been a couple days. The mission has been going on for a couple days. We can time warp ourselves out of the mun's gravity well, and now we can deorbit ourselves. Alright, begin the burn. Now, I wanted to try to get the periapsis to still exist but be well within the atmosphere, so that the G's didn't go to a ridiculously high threshold. That did happen. We had 15 Gs or something like that. Crazy. Absolutely insane. But, yeah. We time warped over, and we can slow ourselves down a little bit with the command module, with the service module, and then separate the command module, and use some RCS puffs to get ourselves away from the from that piece of debris, which will burn up and not be recovered. However, the heat shield will be the only thing burning up on this spacecraft because we have one. We have a heat shield, which will shield us from heat, as the name implies. You see the G-force gauge going up pretty high. And I actually paused and went to go check the flight status to see how many G's that was. 15 G's. But we can separate that cone structure from the top of the pod because we're done entering the atmosphere. And we can deploy the chutes, which are the 3 of the starter parachutes. We can jettison that heat shield and come for a nice soft landing. And I like these chutes better than the radial chutes because they just look better. But yeah, I should have really aimed for water, but I really couldn't aim properly per se. But folks, that is going to wrap it up for today. This was a MUN mission where nothing actually went bad. Nothing went bad in this MUN mission. But that's going to be it for me. This is a Kerbal Space Program video. This was Lucas G from the G Bros Gaming channel. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and most importantly, stay yes.